is. Hi,
I was like,
Dr.
I'm here. I'm here.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Oh, me too. Thanks for having me. This is perfect timing, Kate. Holy
Good.
wow.
This is perfect timing. We all need a little Kim drama in our life right now.
We all need a little connection and wisdom and access our power at this time when we may be feeling anything but that.
Absolutely. It's so true. So for those of you guys that don't know Kim, who are jumping on, she is a doctor of osteopath. Is that what osteopathy?
Osteopathic medicine. Yep.
Okay, so that was your
doctor.
original. You were originally an ER doc?
Yep.
Okay, and then she sort of pivoted and became a mind-body expert. You guys, she actually wrote one of my favorite books, The Mind-Body Toolkit. I've been raving about it ever since I read it. And she's also the founder of the American Institute of Mind-Body Medicine. So she is just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the mind-body connection. So Kim, tell us a little bit about how you got into this whole thing and kind of what your practice is like now.
I have been really empathic and sensitive and aware through my life. And most of that was really painful to like feel so much of the frequencies going on in the planet. And yes, you know, always having been super intuitive, but I didn't really know how to like use that in my life. And it felt like a problem.
Yeah.
What's wrong? Let me turn this off and function in this sort of normal way and do this thing. But I had the awareness really, really at a young age that I was here to assist humanity in a really powerful way. And it resonated to become a doctor, to go and train in the ER with like, you know, life and death and the intensity. But what I also knew in the ER was that it was a very intuitive way of functioning, that you know what you know. It's a split-second decision. It's not like you go and calculate it in the brain and think about it and figure it out and then make a choice. Like you've got to be willing to trust yourself, trust your gut, trust your heart, trust your wisdom, and like trust what you know, what you've learned, and putting it all together. So that was sort of part of my course. But there was always the awareness that I would be here to bring a deeper wisdom to humanity about who we really are, about what health really is derived from, and not it's not the way we've been thinking, like, hey, here's the pill, or here's the regime, or here's the thing to do, functioning solely in the physical realm. So I had these awarenesses at like a really young age, and it just was like, what? Yeah. But over the years that there's been more and more clarity, more and more trusting and creating from my wisdom and intuition, and trusting myself and not so much looking outside me for, well, here's how other people do it, or here's what they say is possible, but listening more so to like, what do I know? Is that actually required? Is that actually going to create more? Is that actually going to create health? I had experienced a pretty severe autoimmune disease when I was in medical school that taught me a lot. It taught me about what I already knew, that the mind and body are connected, and that the body is reflecting our consciousness, what we think, what our emotions are, our memories, our perspectives. But to experience it firsthand was different than having like studied it in all the books.
It's
and
so different.
You got to learn, like, I've got to shift this relationship with my body and with my symptoms and with my pain and with my fatigue from a problem I've got to fix or a problem I've got to overcome, into a friend and an asset. And it is my wisdom speaking to me. So if this were my wisdom speaking, not the wrongness, what's actually the message? And it was an invitation to be more free, an invitation to let go of being hard on myself, to let go of pushing hard, to let go of overcoming and achieving as a way to create more, and to embrace surrender and allowing as a way to create more. Not only that way, but like that was a bigger part, and letting go slowly year by year of the like fighting and trying and achieving, and being in full surrender to life. So it's a partnership. And hey, we're all in a moment to moment education.
It's so true. I love that so much. And that's kind of why I've been pivoting in the direction that I'm going. I've been so passionate about, you've got to eat better and exercise this way and take this supplement and do this gut healing regimen and all of these things that we have to do to improve our health. But if you're coming at that with this, you know, somehow this resistance or avoiding what is right now, it can cause more harm than good. And that's kind of why I'm making this huge pivot in the message that I'm sharing, is because, you know, sometimes telling people to, you know, you've got to do this and this and this, as long as we're trying to avoid what we currently got going on, we're going to create all this resistance and unnecessary suffering. And so it's such a wake up call that we're so much more energetic than we are physical or mass. And so to just constantly be treating the physical body with more supplements, more exercise, you know, a cleaner diet, it's only going to take us so far. So that's why I've been really pivoting and so drawn to your work and just devoured your book. I read it 3 times and I just absolutely loved it, because it's so true. You will only ever get so far when you're just going after your physical body, but really understanding how your thoughts and emotions are affecting your health, and that maybe your acne or your back pain or your inability to lose weight or your autoimmune or your chronic gut issues are all related to your emotions, much more so than, you know, eating inflammatory foods or whatever it is that you're thinking it is. Like you said, the body is not a host for a lot of these gut issues, as long as our frequency, you know, our energetic body is in a healthy balance. So talk a little bit about that, Kim. How do our thoughts and emotions connect to our health? And what can we do about it?
Yeah, from a purely physical standpoint, every thought we have is a chemical reaction, sending signals, having a cascade of physical, hormonal, neurologic effects in the body. And so, you know, when I was younger and I'd lie in bed and contemplate this and be aware of how my physical body was responding to what I was thinking about. So I'd think about relaxing or think about, you know, my friend, and my body would be like drifting into like a light sleep. And then I think about my dad, where I had this really, a lot of tension in the relationship. And my body would immediately jump, like physically jump off the bed. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And I was fascinated. I mean, I was 16 years old, but had a lot of like lucid dreams and all kinds of really strange experiences that taught me a lot. Later on in medical school, devouring everything I could about the mind-body connection, how the body heals itself, and learning about the chemistry behind it, the brain science, your neurologic connections, the way your neurons are synapsed together is in like a network. So that's why I usually have the same thoughts and feelings over and over and over, or something happens and you see it in your habitual way, like, oh yeah, this is just blah, blah, blah. But when you shift in frequency, you shift in consciousness. So something as simple as, you know, breathing into your heart, relaxing your shoulders, asking the question, what else is possible here? When you're scared or when you're contracted and it seems impossible, can bring you into a different state. And what it does is we've seen those synapses change. And first what happens is like new synapses are firing. You're thinking a different thought or you're holding a different possibility. Even if it seems like, yeah, but I don't really believe that. You just let yourself open slowly. Like, what if what I thought was true isn't the only possibility? So be just real subtle with it. It'll start creating new pathways in the brain. So different kind of information can get carried. And what you see is as those old pathways are less and less practiced, they start to dissolve. It's like, you know, if you're not using those highways anymore, they start to fall apart. And you establish a new highway. Yeah. So that happens on its own as you engage with yourself in a new way. For me, when I had that autoimmune disease, I had actually gone to a bunch of different doctors, and it wasn't until I finally got this diagnosis of like a late onset juvenile rheumatoid arthritis with, you know, something on the side. And he told me, here's what you're going to have to do. You know, you're not gonna be able to travel anymore and stay in all these different places. You got to protect your environment. Here's the different medications. You're not going to be able to go running anymore. It's degenerating your joints. Like everything fell apart. Here I am, a third-year medical student. I'm living in a different place every month. I kind of was a runner as a way to like work off stress. Everything fell apart. And in 10 seconds of like being a puddle on the floor, I realized, wait a minute, this is crap. what if this isn't true for me? What if that's not the path I need to take? What if that's not my solution? There's something else available. And so it just broke the spell a little bit for me to start to say, okay, body, what's really going on? What do we got here? And stop saying, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? This fight to overcome, and start saying, what's right about this that I'm not getting? And what was required was a new relationship with my body, a new way of experiencing the same pain, but actually being in a different relationship where it wasn't, this is a problem I got to fix. It was, this is an invitation to soften. This is an invitation to do it differently and let go of the battle. And it changed everything. It started the change, everything about who I was and how I approached life. And within just a few days, the complete autoimmune disease was resolved. Like physically, my body changed. Lab results changed. That was fast. It's not that way for everybody. Like sometimes people say, why isn't it changing for me in 10 days? Don't require it. But you'll see it. You'll see something. First, you'll feel a lightness that is just, it maybe just etherically or emotionally. That is the new foundation that's going to be sending new signals to your cells, to your immune system, to your endocrine system. It will generate change. It is generating a change. So don't like look at the thing, the back pain or the weight or the fill in the blank, your money, and say, but it hasn't changed yet, it hasn't changed yet. Because now you're just going back into the old patterns. So just let it have the time that it needs. It doesn't matter, because you will feel lighter immediately, and just let yourself have that lightness.
That's so true. And it's so profound. I know in my personal life, I've always been, you have a symptom come up or a feeling come up, anything you're dealing with. And the first thing is just, how can I avoid this? How can I make this go away? What pill can I take? What run can I go on? How can I get rid of this?
What did I do wrong?
What did I do wrong? Exactly. And like you said, I'm learning, as soon as you're trying to avoid, even if you're doing it by eating healthier or doing some healthy thing for your body, it doesn't matter if you're doing it conditionally. You're not going to get to where you want to be. It's just like Kim was saying, it's just this unconditional love and acceptance for things exactly the way they are, with the pain, with the acne, with the cellulite on your legs, whatever it is. It's just being present with it. And that's the very first step in healing.
Yeah, it's an invitation to send yourself more love. And that may come in the form of relax your shoulders and just slow down and breathe. It may come in the form of every time you see yourself in the mirror, say, I love you, to kind of like override the underlying records playing when you look at yourself. It may be stopping some of the behaviors you've done that have been to kind of fix things, but they're repressive. Like, I got to work out this many times a week, or I've got to only eat this. And you realize, like, is that self-love or is that self-fix? Because you can nurture yourself through self-love, but it looks and feels different.
It's so true. And it's been so fun in my profession to kind of step back and observe some of my clients, the ones that are going at their physical goals from a place of, I don't like my hips, they're too big. I don't like the cellulite. I don't like this about my body. So I'm just going to work out harder. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do this regimen and try this diet. And they just will only ever get so far coming from that place of kind of self-rejection.
We haven't been taught that simply softening creates the magic in the body, creates health, vitality, energy, radiance, all the things that actually just, they can come through us. We don't have to work for them. And I'm not saying you don't enjoy going for a walk or moving the body, but it's a completely different relationship from I got to whip myself into shape versus let me surrender into the energy coming up when I look at, I don't like my thighs. The energy coming up when I look at, oh, my nose is too big, or whatever the judgments are, like feel the energy behind them. Be willing to go into it, and you'll actually see. First, it will come up and it will heighten because you're like suppressing it for so long. And you'll be like, oh no, but let it keep moving because it will move and dissipate. It will flow through.
I love that.
And then there's just my physical body. Here it is. What do you need, body? And it's a totally different relationship to exercise or diet or whatever from awareness and self-love, it's easy. There's nothing willpower about it, and your body will really thrive, versus all the same things from conclusion, judgment, suppression, and what the mind thinks is going to create more.
It's so true. It's so important. It's so amazing how just that small shift in the way that we're thinking about taking care of our physical body is everything, and coming at it from a place of, I just want to be different. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
And look how far we go with it. So just let yourself imagine, like, okay, so now your hips are slimmer, but you got the same energy and frequency and consciousness that you get in. Because people really think, well, if my body looked this way, or if I lost weight, then I won't feel this energy. And it's not true. No. Maybe in the first 10 seconds, you're like, oh, okay, but it fades, and you're right back to what you actually are, which is, I hold self-loathing. I actually feel inadequate. I feel ashamed. I feel separate and afraid, like I'm not okay. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's your thighs or your bank account or a guy. It will get triggered by life. It will get triggered. Those energies are meant to move. Yeah. You're meant to be aware of them and let them fluidly move through by relaxing and letting energy move, instead of tensing, controlling, restricting, where all you're doing is suppressing it.
Yeah, it's so true. I have so many of my female clients that say, okay, I will never like the cellulite on the back of my legs. So how can I think about this in a way that is different, that will allow me to kind of move through this?
Well, I would feel into what's underneath it. Every time you see that cellulite, every time you see that area of your body, what are you actually feeling? What do you actually feel? Because it's just physical and it can resolve. But as long as you hold that energy, it's going to keep getting manifested in your body. What do you feel? Do you feel shame? Do you feel worthlessness? Do you feel heaviness? Do you feel anger? Because that can come up in the thighs a lot too, is anger. Take 10 breaths a day. Breathe with that. Yes, yes, yes to this energy. Be willing to feel it. Expand into it. And you'll feel just in 10 breaths. Just feel and relax. You got to relax your body in order to let energy move. It won't move if you're like, okay, I'm breathing. Why isn't it moving? You really actually have got to go into it.
It's so true, Kim. I came across that in your book. And the last time I got a headache, I thought, I'm not going to try to make this go away and resist it. I'm just going to let the pain just be there. And this can go for physical pain, you guys, emotional pain, basically anything that is happening to our body that isn't, something we don't like. Just be with it. It's amazing how fast the energy starts to move, and you just start to feel, like you said, this lightness, no matter what it is, whether it's fear, anxiety. Try to move toward it almost, rather than, how can I make this go away? Especially right now with the COVID-19 going on, there's no better time to practice these feelings, these waves of fear, the unknown.
Well, this is bringing up a collective fear that we've been in. Humanity has been in this massive fear that's allowed us to be suppressed in our life, that's allowed us to be in a society that tells us you're not enough, do more. And we're like, okay, let me work 20 hours a day. Let me work 8 days a week. That in a space that people, we believe we're not enough, so we got to do more. If we're not having the life we want, let me work harder, let me do more, let me sacrifice. And we're controlled, so this is coming up to shift the fear in the collective that has us say, I lost my job, that's my source, I'm not okay without it. Or I don't have enough, I have to buy more and stock up. So what if you distill it down to this 10 seconds, and instead I choose to feel what I'm actually feeling now. What am I feeling right now? I feel fear. Yeah. And maybe it's like, oh my freaking head, it's unthinkable, never ending fear. It is massive. I don't think I can stand it for more than 10 seconds, but just be in that 10 seconds. Like, it's okay. Be with it. It's okay to be with it. And as you breathe through it, you'll feel it move. You'll sometimes first feel it deepen or expand into powerlessness or grief or despair. Stay with it anyway. You're just going to do it for, say, 10 breaths. Presence your body, and you'll let the energy move. And then all of a sudden you're like, my bank account is still empty and I still don't have a job and I still only have 3 rolls of toilet paper, but I actually feel more peace.
It's so
Stay
true.
with that, because what you will see, because your physical body is electromagnetic, the resonance you put off is creating your reality. It's creating your relationships and the signals that are sent to everyone around you, even the tone of your voice and what people feel when they hear you speak. It's creating everything. So I had a client that I worked with and was, really working with this understanding, and so much fear, lost her job. I don't have any food. How am I going to get food? And the next day shared, that my neighbor came by and cooked me a bunch of food, and they're like, if you need anything, we have, whatever you need. My boss sent me money and told me they still want to, me to keep doing some work. It's all come in, but she had to be in the energy of it first.
Yeah.
Because what happens, because we're electromagnetic, we literally block possibilities from our life. So you can imagine, I had a client I worked with the other night, and she's really nervous and scared, because actually terrified. She co-parents with her ex-husband, and she's aware, like, I don't really trust his decisions. I don't really think our daughter should be traveling back and forth to his place, my place. This is not going to be okay. But instead of being from a space of like, hey, here's what I've got on this, I'm really scared, but I'm also aware, like, that it might be wise to have her be in one place, and I would want that to be with me. That's a totally different energy to approach him with than, we can't do this and we can't do that and it's not okay and I don't think you're gonna make the right decision. Even if she didn't use those words, it's coming across in the transmission, and just the fear she was in, you could feel like, how's he gonna respond to this? He doesn't have a choice. He's gonna respond with this.
Yeah.
Fight and fight, like push, push, push. Because what's he gonna feel? Oh my God, you're gonna take my daughter away from me. Don't you tell me I can't have my daughter. She's important to me too. And it's a tug of war. And so it was just the other night, but at the end of this, she felt completely different and was able to see how she was co-creating the battle with her ex, and own it and let that fear she's lived in dissolve. Her voice sounded different. She looks different. If you're energy sensitive, you can see it. You can see it. But even for people who are less conscious, everyone feels it and is reacting to your energy, the energy you're in. So if you just set your alarm for 3 times a day to say, hi, body, how are you doing? I love you. And take 10 breaths to really feel, what am I feeling right now? The deepest feeling I'm feeling now is. There's coursework I do with women, and we use these different practices to just deepen and reestablish a new connection. And it's so simple, but even like my client the other night, like, she had to meet that terror. There's like nothing more terrifying than when it's your kid, right? Bad enough, my body, okay, I could die. That's one thing, but like my kid, it brings up a whole new layer of the fear you've held.
These words are so powerful, you guys. Just these small shifts from this place of resistance into just allowing what is. And we are so good at, I love the idea of setting an alarm as a reminder, because we are so good at pushing it down and not even knowing we're pushing it down. I'll ask my clients, when we talk about stress and how stress affects the body, and everybody thinks it's the obvious things that happen, but it's really the unconscious ones, the subconscious things, the ones that we're not even aware that we're pushing down, that are causing all of the issues within our body. So I have so many clients right now, Kim, that are like, there's all this fear and this stress and this unknown, but I'm going to be strong and being really positive and with positive thinking. And I'm like,
it's like, I'm on a hamster wheel, but I'm just going to get better at running.
I'm just going to get
faster. I'm going to outrun that dragon, and I'm going to get better at running. It will never, ever, ever create wholeness. It will never create what you really want, which is love. Like, for my client, she could battle that, the ex, and protect her child, but she's still parenting from love and not from fear and not love. So the result of what gets created for her kid is still not what she really wants. Her kid's just going to have it. And she has had anxiety disorder. She's like now exhibiting this anxiety disorder. And it's like, where did this come from? Well, we know exactly where it's coming from. And you're empowered to let this shift, because when we meet our own fear, all the people I've worked with, when they really go into that depth with themselves, and it's easy, like, have that little conversation with your body. It will dissipate the energy. We'll report, my kids don't have this behavioral problem anymore. My kids don't have panic attacks anymore. My kids don't have, you know, all these problems because they are energetically sensitive and they're reflecting the energy alignment that you're in, and they won't consciously understand it, but they'll exhibit the symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. I'm just getting a question here, Kim. Somebody said,
Yeah.
if it doesn't come naturally, how do I push the negative thoughts away?
Don't push the negative thoughts away. So here's what to do. So come into this space of the heart, relax your shoulders, soften. And if you do practice it during the day, you're more adept for when the moment comes and you're like in the negativity. Relax your shoulders, and just like the eternally loving mother, embrace it right here. I love you, sweetheart. This fear, this grief. I lost my job, things aren't okay. Just like this, like you put your arms around all of it and welcome it right into that space of your heart. The first step is, though, to breathe into this space yourself. Let it open, because we walk around like this and then it's shut down, and we energetically align like this, you know, all hunkered in and protected and like walled up. We've been hurt, we've been disappointed, maybe trauma, abuse, and it puts a wall like around the heart. So we're like, oh, I'm gonna brace everything in my heart. Oh no, it's not.
Yeah.
You've got to soften first, and you will receive the resonance of the love that comes through the heart. Our body has sensory neurites in this area, the tissue around the heart, that register higher frequency awareness. Like, hey, open, it's all okay. There are neighbors who will come and offer you food, or like possibilities, not like the verbatim, but just, it's right here. It's already here. Just soften and let go. And when we do, it's like, you know, that neighbor gets the little dial from the universe. Like, hey, why don't you go feed your neighbor right now? We are connected, and we can allow ourselves to function this way where we perceive in a higher realm. Like, I had the awareness to call my neighbor actually. And she did need something. And I got to help her out the next day, and I hadn't talked to her in a while. I had a dream about one of my friends I hadn't spoken to in like a year. And that next day she sent me a picture. I'm thinking of you. And it was a picture of us from years back. I'm like, I just had a dream about you last night. She's like, yeah, I must have gotten your vibe. A lot of us are already doing this, but we might not take it seriously or consciously know how of time, but you'll feel like someone saying, what if I can't just stop and think? I can't stop thinking the negative thoughts. It's the same thing, like to choose your go-to and to go here into this space of the heart. Soften your shoulders, because that's one of the things that keeps us in that hostility and tension. Soften the shoulders. We are emerging into a higher consciousness, and until you maybe consciously have maxed out on the old way of doing it, where you got to like try harder, push harder, max out, like go that way, great. And then in a year, what we're saying now will register even more deeply, because what happens is you're like, this makes sense, but just in case, let me keep pushing the wheel. So you're gonna get to a point where you're like, oh my freaking head, there's no way I can do this anymore. I'm exhausted, I'm burnt out, I don't buy it that this is what's required, and I'm conscious that it's actually just creating more shit to do and not actually creating the harmony. So when you shift from that space A, where it's like avoid pain, avoid pain, avoid pain, you actually shift into enter wholeness, enter stillness, enter peace, enter love. They are different things. So all the things you're doing to avoid pain, you keep doing them until you're done. When you're done, you're going to know. You're like, wow, avoiding pain is not actually pleasure.
No.
It's a different, and when I say pleasure, I don't mean like the quick hit, you know, the 10-second avoidance and you feel good, like, oh, what a relief. I mean, true joy. It's not the same thing.
No, it's such a different thing. And with this, with the COVID-19, Kim, going around right now, I think so many people have this, I've got to be strong and I've got to fight and strengthen my immune system and hide and
Control
avoid.
what I can control. I've heard people say, well, what are the things I can control? And it's great. Like if that's where you are, it's a beautiful practice. It right now, it's not going to quote unquote work. You will max out. You will get to a place where you're like, the despair is bigger than me. Because as you try to control
Pain, whatever,
yeah,
just allowing it to be there, you'll feel a shift. It's amazing.
well, your wisdom that comes through your body will inform you. Like if you simply use this exercise we shared, relax, come into the heart, tune in a loving way, tune in with curiosity. What am I sensing right now? What's that about? Versus what I used to do. Oh my God, I have my back pain. What do I need to do? Oh my God, why is it back? I must have failed. Oh, I overdid it.
Yeah.
So when we tune in with curiosity, it creates a massive shift in our chemistry, our immune system, our endocrine system, hormones, neurochemicals, all those brain pathways I talked about in the beginning of that old alignment and seeing versus this new possibility where we can see like, oh, I get it. It's okay because I understand this now. So that that will come through you. You don't have to try to do that by thinking positively. You don't have to create those new pathways. You'll let that happen. Prickly says, I didn't even notice how stiff my shoulders were until I tried relaxing them. So set your alarm, like reminder, little body check, body love. Hey, body.
I'm going to do that, Kim, and invite all my followers to do the same. It's just such a good, it's just a good reminder because we're so good at pushing it away and just not feeling it and just avoiding it. But the shift is huge.
Yeah. What if all that energy you've put into being stronger and pushing it away and overcoming and achieving and outrunning the dragon, all that energy is now available to you? For creating your juicy life, for restoring health and vitality in your body. It is unthinkable what will happen in just one day when you unleash that energy through surrender and allow it to create your life. Everything is rearranged.
It's so powerful. It's so great. You guys, if you have not read Dr. Kim's book, this is one of my very favorite books. You can get it on Amazon. It's life-changing. And what's really neat about it is we're all starting to become aware that the mind and the body are connected and will only ever be as well as our energetic body. But this gives you practical tips, really easy to apply practical tips of, okay, I'm feeling this way, or I have this health issue. What can you do? And not maybe in the way you've been doing it before. What is a different way you could approach it so that you can actually get to the root and resolve it? It is an incredible book.
Thanks. That's available actually with an online mini course on the website, drkimd.com. If you want to, people want to tune in a little more deeply, the ebook version and the mini course that goes with it. But you know what? I wanted to also share, I have a live course. I'll be working with women through April called Alive Women. And it's really about this awakening and it's about accessing your power. So for those who want to go deeper with me and work with me live, that is available. It's at drkimd.com/retreat. So it's going to be like an online retreat now. But that's something where I think there are a lot of women who are ready, who know on some level, I know there's something more available to me. I have no idea how to access it. I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm already working so hard. And it's not about working hard. So any of the courses we do that are like, oh, let's work harder at manifesting, like it's very limited what gets created from that masculine way of like using your energy that way versus the unthinkable infinite power that comes through our body when we open, when we trust ourselves, when we surrender. Not like I'm going to surrender to this evil illness I have. You're surrendering to your freaking power. Your power's locked up in there. I guarantee you, as you start to just even relax your body and breathe through the day today, you will witness this power in your life.
It's so true, you guys. And that's why I've really gotten into this and going to be doing a lot more sharing this type of information, because I've noticed the shift in my own life. And here I am preaching, you've got to eat clean, you've got to do all these things. And yes, it's great to take care of the physical body. Those things are important. However, this stuff, if you want to improve your health and your happiness and your well-being, this stuff is so much more important than any type of diet, extra, anything that you'll get into. And I'm actually going to be doing the Alive Woman retreat with Kim, so I cannot encourage you enough to join us.
Well, thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to connect with these beautiful people.
Thank you so much for coming, Kim, and taking the time to share all of your